Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is Megan Mateo, and today we're going to do a corporate look, sort of all in browns and muted tones, and something a little more appropriate for a corporate office environment or say a courtroom environment. I know a lot of my friends are lawyers or work in business, and so this should be just perfect for all of you. Today we're going to start out by bronzing the perimeter of our face. This time we're going to use, again, the Bobbi Brown bronzing powder in the shade Medium 2. We're just going to dip in with a tapered brush, dual fiber. This one is from Real Techniques. I start around the cheekbone, softly, very lightly, just to give the face a little structure. And then, since I don't have any kind of fringe or bangs, I like to go around my face like this, blend it in really well, just to give myself a little more color under my chin. And it warms up the face really well. Next, I'm going to go into a NARS blush called Orgasm, very cute name, and using just a regular blush brush, like this, somewhat small, not too huge. This blush is pretty glowy already. It has a beautiful gold sheen to it once you've got it on. So I'm not going to apply it too heavily, just a bit, enough for it to show up. Because this blush has its own bit of glitter and glow to it, a shimmer, we're not going to use a highlight. I don't want to sort of overpower people with a disco ball feeling in the corporate environment. I don't think that's quite the look we're going to go for today, although it's a gorgeous look itself. Next up is going to be brows. Again, my trusty Brow Define and Fill Duo from Maybelline. This in shade Blonde. Using the pencil side first, we're going to sort of draw in individual brow hairs, and then we'll use the other side to fill in any gaps. Now, I had debated whether or not to do my brows before this tutorial, simply because it takes a little bit more time, but I thought it might be fun for you all to watch and see how I do mine, and that way you can pick little tips and tricks that might translate into how you do your brows. So there they are with the brow hairs drawn in. Now I'm going to go back into the fill shade, which is just a little bit of powder in this cap and a sponge tip on the other end. And it helps further fill in any sparse areas you might have. I know if you lived through the 90s, you probably have overplucked brows before, and they may or may not have grown back. Much like I'm experiencing now. I have a little bit of a patch on this eyebrow that hasn't grown back for, you know, to save its own life. So basically that's where we're stuck now. Next, I'm going to pull out my trusty MAC quad that I made myself. This has 3 MAC eyeshadows in it and 1 Smashbox because I just could not let go of that shade to save my life. I love it so much. So I'm going to start with the second lightest shade here. This is MAC's Kid. It works beautifully on my skin tone. It's about a shade or two darker than my actual skin tone, And that's about the shade range you're going to aim for this look. On the lid, try and pick a shadow that's about a shade or two darker than your skin tone. And then take a wide shadow brush, like this, and just start sweeping it over the eyelid. This is the mobile eyelid, so the part that blinks is what we call mobile eyelid. On both eyes. Next, I'm going to move in with a fluffier crease brush. This one's good for blending and for eyeshadow application, so it looks like this. And I dip into the second darkest shade on the palette, this one here, which is actually Smashbox Nude. It's a beautiful camel color, and again, it's more about 4 or 5 shades darker than my actual skin tone. And I put that into the crease, so you'll see I'm going right in to the crease right here. Even though I have hooded eyes, I do find that accentuating the crease with a darker shadow helps to open my eyes up and give them a bit more shape. So repeat on the other, making sure to blend. So we're going to keep this brush here because it's dual-ended. You can see one end is the shadow end and the other end is actually a smudge brush. And we're going to use that to apply eyeshadow to the bottom lash line. So we'll move on to our fourth color, which is the darkest shade here. MAC Corduroy is what it's called. This is a deep shade for me and my skin tone. And I like to apply this to the outer corner of my eye and just drag it out from the lash line. So we create a little bit of darkness in the corner here, further giving the eye more shape. We're accentuating what we have. There we go. Now I'm going to take the shadow brush that I used with our second lightest color, the nude color, and I'm going to blend out the deepest shade that we've just applied. It softens it, it blends it further, and so everything's very seamless looking. We don't have any harsh lines that can distract, and we look very polished and put together. So next, going to use another soft shadow brush, another crease brush. This time, this one's from Profusion. I got this in a palette set. And I'm going into the very lightest shade on my quad. This is MAC's Blanc type. And I put this right under the arch of my brow on either side. And it further emphasizes the structure of my eye. Next, I'm going to pull out the smudge brush that we have here into the darkest shade on the palette, MAC Corduroy, dipping into it lightly, and this is going to go on the lower lid next to the lash line of my eye. Since I am not going to be drawing in with a pencil liner or any kind of liquid liner on the bottom lash line, I do want for it to be emphasized at least a little bit, this time with something very soft like the shadow, and that gives me the exact look that I'm going for. It's not distracting, but it's just enough to make your eyes look a little bit bigger or to emphasize the eye shape that you've got. And that's basically it for the eyeshadow itself. Next, we're moving into eyeliner, this time with a pencil eyeliner, Maybelline New York Unstoppable Eyeliner in Espresso. I do love this shade for corporate looks because it's not as harsh as a black. I'm myself have sort of light brown reddish hair, and black can look a little overpowering on my face and my coloring. If you have say medium skin tones, tan skin tones, especially darker skin tones, things like a black would look more natural than it would be on me. And so you pick shades according to what your skin tone is, and you'll end up with a beautiful, flawless look. So I'm not going to wing out the eye, I'm just going to start from the center for me. A thinnish line, not too thick, not too thin, right next to the lash line. I'm not winging it out at all, just going to emphasize the top lash. Drawing it in slowly to make sure I don't make any mistakes, and going the length of the lash. So we start from the inner corner of the eye, go around to the outer corner, but we're not winging out at all, so it's just going to stay to the lash line, not extending it at all. Repeat on the other eye. Now we're going to apply lipstick. I am using Wet n Wild Mega Last Liquid Catsuit. This one is in the shade Rebel Rose. This is a matte liquid lipstick. It'll dry down. It's still very comfortable feeling, so you don't really have to worry about the stiffness that you used to get with matte lipsticks in the late 90s. These are totally different formulas, and they wear really well throughout the day. They don't really go anywhere, so they're almost kiss-proof, not quite. You can get through drinking your coffee, probably even get through a decent meal without having to reapply. And so that's really great for people who, say, speak a lot during the day. So your lawyers, your teachers, people like that, who can't be distracted with a quick reapply even. But next we're going to move into mascara. This time using CoverGirl Lash Blast Fusion in the blackest black color. I like using the water resistant shade because my eyes will water up sometimes during the day due to allergies and hay fever and things like that, and I don't want to have to mess with it throughout the day. I do find though that I require at least 2 coats of this mascara for it to show up and give me the look that I want. Otherwise, it's a very subtle kind of mascara. So there's coat 1. Before the mascara completely dries, I try and get in coat 2. That way my lashes don't look really crispy. They stay looking fairly fluffy. That is the look I'm going for. It's not too bold, but definitely not really a natural looking lash. But feathery, fluffy, soft. Those are my buzzwords for lashes. Now taking the same lash, mascara on the bottom lashes, be sure to try not to get on the actual lid itself, just on the lashes. Takes a little more concentration for me. Now, as I've said before, everybody has a mascara face. Don't be afraid to use yours. There. So we're pretty much done with the corporate look. I'm ducking out of frame for a bit. I'm going to finish up by using a refreshing spray. This one by Wet n Wild. It's the Coconut Photo Focus 3-in-1 spray. And I use this to set my makeup so I don't look very powdered. Although I have used powder underneath my the makeup that I applied today. I've used a LORAC loose powder just on a brush around the entire face to give the to sort of set my foundation. So I shake this a little bit and then do 6 or 7 sprays around the face itself. It does need a little time to dry, but it's very refreshing. Smells just like coconuts. It's so yummy. I've been using this for about 6 months now and really, really like it. And so now the powdered look has gone down. I have a very sort of natural finish now, put together, and the face is done. So I hope that you found this useful tutorial, maybe with a few tips and tricks that can help you out. And I hope you like the new setup that I've got here. I have my camera that I've resurrected from the dead, and I have a speaker and a tripod and some better lighting, I hope. And if you like how it's gone so far, just drop me a line, let me know in the comments. And if you like what I'm doing, be sure to subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Until next time, bye. Have a great week.